Ready to hit the pause button on your parenting fails? Ready to feel better about your parenting? Welcome to Parenting Pause, the podcast, where all of you is welcome. I'm Leslie Potter, the founder of the Pure Joy Way, a mother, a parent coach, and a fellow traveler on this journey to wake up in our parenting. And I believe together we can make this a better world for ourselves and our kiddos. One of the most challenging aspects I found to actually look at and to begin to penetrate in my parenting was my need for control. Control became so dominant, even though I had promised myself I was going to be more easygoing and accepting and loving all my fantasies and my ideas about how I would show up didn't actually take place. What I began to notice was in its place was this tremendous need to control. It came out in the way I wanted to control what my daughter ate, how she played, what games she did, if she got on the computer or she didn't get on the computer. I would just notice that this control would travel around because I could actually get her off the computer, but then the next thing I knew, in my mind, there would come this idea of, well, she needs to get outside, she needs to walk. So then I could get her to walk with a lot of effort, a lot of pushing and forcing, or maybe doing all kinds of shaming, whatever I needed to do. I could get her out there to feel like a good mom, right? That could have that control. But then the next thing would show up, right? I would want her to eat good food. And then when she would resist that and I could push my way and force my way, always telling myself that I was doing this because it was the best for her, I was actually controlling my own process. I wasn't willing to stop and really look at most of my behavior was being driven by a need to control. Now, I find this so interesting, and you might too as we explore this topic a little bit, that was the one trait in my daughter that I would tell people about her. I would say she has such a strong need for control. She always needs to be in control. And I said it in such a negative way because I felt so controlled by my daughter's resistance. So here I was judging the trait in her that was actually the trait when I began to explore that I wasn't taking ownership of in myself. And there was a huge light bulb that came on when I began to discover that, my not liking her control was actually not liking my control internal. So I realized that I hadn't really gotten into the root of why was this controlling behavior so prevalent in my parenting. Now, as I began to explore deeper and deeper, I recognized and realized that behavior, the controlling behavior, was coming out of a great fear inside of my being. The fear of the unknown, the fear of, was I going to be a good parent or not? And was my daughter going to be okay? A fear of what other people were going to think about me if I trusted my own wisdom and parented the way I wanted to parent. I just started noticing this huge kind of fear bubble, and you may too. One of the exercises that helped me a lot was to draw this big circle on a piece of paper and just spend about 10 minutes writing down all of my fears. And there were a lot of them. And those fears led to a controlling behavior because I was trying to control, most of all, my fear of the future. It came out as a fear of how my daughter would be, in the future. And I realized that fear became so fixated on my responsibility. It had very little to do with my daughter and investing in, what did she want for her life and how did she want to be? it was just so fixated on my responsibility, and that no matter how she turned out, if she turned out bad or wrong or not good enough or didn't make good grades or didn't do her homework or any of those things, it was all going to come back on me. And so I realized that everything I was trying to control in her was actually a control inside myself, trying to control my out of control fear that was driving everything. And so, of course, I wasn't experiencing very much joy in my parenting, which was exactly what I wanted. I mean, that's why I became a parent, because I wanted to experience the joy of being with a child, of being in relationship with another human being, and being a guide and being someone that could show up for another human being as they came into this human incarnation. And yet, it wasn't about my daughter at all. It was all about this sense of control. And I'll have to tell you, my daughter's 20 now, and it still comes up all the time. This tremendous need for control, especially when she's doing things that I might not agree with. And yet, what I've learned is when I can relax back, when I can just trust my own level of safety in this moment, that need for control begins to dissipate. And I'll tell you, what comes in its place is this exquisite curiosity and delight in my daughter and in who she is. And I can come alongside her then in my beautiful curiosity without all of my control around what she did or didn't do or who she needs to be. And I'll tell you, it is one of the most joyful experiences of all time to recognize that my daughter loves herself. She wants to be safe. She wants to be successful. I don't have to be in charge of that. I just have to support her in finding out how that looks in her life. Thank you for listening to this episode of Parenting Paused. If you enjoyed the episode, do me a favor and share it with your mama friends. You can also leave a review wherever you listen, which will support getting the Pure Joy message out. Come on over to the Pure Joy Parenting Practice Facebook page or join me on Instagram to hear more. And don't forget to download your free copy of the Safe Seat course on the Pure Joy website. And while there, check out the offerings page to go deeper in the Pure Joy work.